It's fun to prove people right when they're wrong. That almost sounds like a paradox of a title of a video, doesn't it? Well, you can imagine it's been inspired by the book I just finished, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. So, as I've made mention in other videos, you cannot gain someone's respect by proving them wrong. If you prove them wrong, then likely you get the opposite of what you wanted. You wanted them to think more highly of you. Oh, wow, he's smart. Well, no, if you prove them wrong, then they think, wow, he's arrogant. That's the way it actually works. So, as my notes here show, and I'm going to read it word for word, it's fun to prove people right when they're wrong. So, I have a son who's about to be 11, and I have a daughter who's 5. And I can see that he's working through this. It's so important for him to try to teach his sister things, to try to prove her wrong about stuff that none of it matters. Whatever the thing is, whether it's Peppa Pig or whatever, he's always trying to prove her wrong. And I keep trying to tell him, all you have to really do is agree with whatever she says. Even, she's 5 years old, she doesn't understand how the world works, so if she thinks it, let her believe it. It's actually more fun than trying to argue with her. But see, it's the same thing that adults do the same thing. But as a 40-year-old man, I've now realized, wow, it's more fun to let people think that they're right. Maybe they're right. I have to assume I'm wrong at least half the time, so that fair enough. But I often will secretly Google something and know that they're wrong. But I keep listening, I keep smiling, I keep the conversation going, and I'll ask follow-up questions, keep them talking about it with zero agenda to try to convince them otherwise. Because ultimately, it's more fun to prove people right than they're wrong. Identity protective cognition, when someone believes something very deeply, whether it's religious or whether it's food related or some kind of deep tradition that they hold, most likely if you try to talk them out of it, it's just going to reconfirm what they already believe, and they would actually become defensive. So I've learned, why debate? Why try to prove someone wrong? It will give me the opposite effect of what I want. Why don't I just have fun with it? Why not just have fun with it? Why not just let the person carry on the conversation? Because ultimately that's what it is. People want to be able to talk about the things that they believe in. I am more like a host, and I basically just make a statement or ask a question, and then I give them the mic. And I want them to talk more than me. That's my whole goal. I want them to think that I'm interesting simply by getting them to talk more about themselves. Because that's how you actually get people to like you. And again, it's all in this book, and it's all in my own life experience that I've learned that. People say, Nick, you have the gift of gab. You can talk so easily for about anything. And let's face it, I do on these videos, yeah. But in real life, it's a practice of mine to only get that conversation grenade, throw it, let the other person take it from there. I only want to lead those conversations to get them talking about themselves. Even if they're talking about something that's not right, if I know it's wrong, it doesn't make sense, it's illogical, whatever. I'm more like that Willy Wonka meme where he's like this. He's like, tell me more about whatever thing. Like, that's pretty much me. Now, what's interesting is, what if someone asked my opinion about something? I would tell them my opinion. I wouldn't try to make them believe what I believe, but I'd be willing to talk about it. But a secret in life is, people often don't ask your opinion. And I often don't give my opinion in real life. I know I have all kinds of videos on this channel, but in real life, I actually keep my cards pretty close. And I only reveal them enough to get that person talking about something that may seem random, but often it's not. That's how I do that. So it only makes sense. People are wrong all the time. I'm wrong at least half the time. So is everybody else. So that means, in theory, at least half the conversations that are going on at any time about someone's opinions or views or perspective, it's incorrect, false information that we can easily Google and verify, and probably, even if we couldn't prove it wrong as a fact, we could prove it wrong as a general rule. Think about that. Half the conversations, at least half the conversations, are incorrect that are taking place. So why don't I choose to be politically neutral and go along with it? Comments right here.